everyone, it's me. If you're new here, my name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I live in England. And if you're not new here, hey, how's it going? That is windy. Sorry about that. The amount of light, like I'm trying to hide in the shade because it's so sunny today. It might give it away, but I'm actually visiting family in Canada. I've been in Ontario about a week now, and it's given me some time to reflect on my life in England and all the things that suck about being an expat in England. So grab a seat, get cozy, put your feet up. If this video actually upsets you, please seek professional help. It's really not that serious. So without further ado, let's go. Number one, directness. British people have a real, it's kind of like an art, to be fair, but they have a real way of talking around a subject rather than just being direct and telling you what they really feel and what they really think. I think Canadians are stereotypically seen as very nice, which I do think is true, but they're also so much more direct. Typically speaking, they don't really waste time dancing around the subject, they just tell you. As a foreigner in England, it can take some time to understand that what that person is saying isn't really what they mean. Number two, something that sucks about being an expat in England is quite simply, it's expensive. And we are not talking about cost of living. We are not talking about taxes. We're not talking about groceries and rent. We are talking simply the costs to live in a foreign country. I've lived in England almost 10 years, and I can say quite comfortably that I have spent thousands of pounds on visa applications, on biometrics appointments, on the NHS surcharge. One visa, I needed a lawyer. The amount of funds that went into this whole process is just insane. It's not cheap. I don't think it should be cheap. I think it should be expensive. It should be difficult but doable. Do you know what I mean? It should be expensive but doable. And it has been, but my God, I could have bought houses. Like I could have bought houses instead of being an expat. It's definitely one of those things where when you're young and you're excited about moving abroad, right? You're like, yeah, I want to live in England. I want to live in London, like whatever. You do you. You don't really think about how much it will cost to keep that dream alive. And then of course, on top of those like expat fees, you're going to have taxes just like everybody else. You're going to pay national insurance just like everybody else. Bills and rent and all that fun stuff, just like everybody else, but it will be on top of all of your visa fees. Yay! Number three, we have housing. Largely speaking, excuse the pun, homes in Canada are much larger than homes in England. I find homes in England, especially like historical homes, like Victorian era homes, you know, like they're really unique and interesting and there's a lot of charm and character, but they're typically small, they're damp, and they are expensive. The house that I rented when I was a college student, so I lived off campus, I lived in a house, rented in that house. That house is bigger than any of the properties I've lived in England. And not to say that bigger is always better or anything, but I definitely feel like the homes here in Canada are just like less cramped. There's more space. There's more breathing room. Number four, something that I hate being a foreigner in England, driving sucks. I have never gotten in my car here in Ontario and dreaded any particular drive or any particular route, but I have certainly done that in England. The roads in England are much more narrow, they're much more wonky, they're like old, they're all over the place. You will often find yourself, you know, on that dreaded country road where there's 2-lane traffic, but there's only space for 1 lane. And the traffic is insane. I find the roads in Ontario, in Canada in general, are just so much simpler. They're probably boring to British people because you're used to like having to really navigate and pay attention and avoid obstacles. I think as a British person coming to Canada, you'll probably find the roads really boring because they are just so simple. But as someone who doesn't really care about driving, I don't want it to be an activity. You know, I just want to get from one place to the other as easy as possible. And with that, number five, parking sucks. I've never gone to a shop in Canada and not been able to find a parking spot, but I've definitely done that in England. Can you guys hear that bird? There's like a We've had a turkey vulture kind of hanging around. I wonder if that's it. Anyway, parking. You get some absolutely beautiful historical buildings in England that are reused. I did a video recently about really fun Tesco's and how Tesco has been put into a church and put into this old historical pub, and there's so much character and there's so much charm. But with that doesn't always come adequate parking, or at least adequate parking for a modern England. And God help you, if it's close to Christmas and you need somewhere to park, it's not gonna happen. Number 6, something that I hate about being an expat in England, and that is uncertainty. And this is something that, again, when you're young and you're excited, you're like, I'm gonna live in England, yay! You really don't think about, but my God, is it important. Your expat life revolves around uncertainty. And by that, I mean your visa could be rejected. The UK could change the rules, so you are no longer eligible for a visa. They could change the fees. Like, you could put so much time and effort into building a life in England for the rules to change, maybe your circumstances change, and you are no longer eligible for a visa and you have to get out. And it's something that is totally out of your control, and it could completely change your life. For my last nearly 10 years in England, the visa costs have changed. The visas themselves have changed. A lot in that sort of immigration process has been altered, and that's terrifying. I also get a lot of comments from British people when I talk about visas and what have you. A lot of people say, well, you should just marry a British person, right? Like, just marry your partner, marry a British person. But that doesn't mean anything. Like, if your spouse is British, you still have to apply for, pay for, and be approved for a spouse visa. Just marrying someone, that doesn't mean anything. You still have to go through the visa process. You still have to earn enough to meet the visa requirements. You have to pay for the visa. You have to prove your case. Like, it's not that simple. But in this whole process, being an expat and uncertainty, they go hand in hand. There's some truly wonderful things about being an expat until I land here in Canada and get hit with a $100 roaming fee. It took me all of 60 seconds to get set up with an eSIM from today's sponsor, Simify. And now I'm covered for my entire trip. Simify is a digital SIM, which means I don't have to physically swap out any SIM cards. You simply pick the SIM card that works best for your situation. So for me, I'm using the unlimited USA, Canada, and Mexico eSIM for 30 days. So once you pick the eSIM that works best for you, you simply check out, and installation is super simple. And that's it, you're done. Honestly, it took me no time at all, and now I don't even have to think about it for the rest of my trip. But even if you've never used an eSIM before, Simify has some really clear guides in case you get stuck. And because my eSIM covers Canada, the US, and Mexico, I could pop down into the US, use the eSIM just like normal without having to buy a different one. And I know that I can use my phone as normal here in Canada, and I will not be hit with a giant roaming bill by the time I'm back in England. Whether you're going on holiday or you're an expat visiting home, make sure to get an eSIM with Simify using my link in the description and code AAN15. Number 7, can I say simply, I miss the sun. People often think of Canada as like cold and miserable and snowy, and like, I totally get it. It's a big country, but from where I'm from in Southern Ontario, I mean, this is beautiful weather. It's October. We have a high of 26 and the sky is absolutely beautiful. I'll turn you around in a second and show you the backyard. As a kid, I 100% took sort of just like consistent, bright, clear days for granted. I was ignorant. I am so sorry. I apologize. I definitely don't miss the Canadian snow. Can I say that? But I do miss the sun. In England, I mean, even in Kent, you know, in southern England, I feel like we all kind of like hunker down at the wintertime where it's just like dark and gray and awful. I love to be cozy. There is something, okay, I will say, I'm backtracking a little bit. There is something that's very cozy on like a December day in England. People got their Christmas lights in the evening. It's like rainy and awful and gross, and you get really cozy on the couch. You got a big fuzzy blanket and you watch a movie and you have like a hot tea or something. That's wonderful. But November sucks, January, February suck. Like, they're just like gray and awful. If my numbering is correct, we are at number 8. And if it's not correct, you know what? It's none of my business. Number 8, something that sucks in England, heat waves, baby. Another thing I took for granted here in Canada is air conditioning, and air conditioning in most homes, in most businesses, in most properties. So I was very much a summertime kid. I'd be out in the sun, just roasting in the sun. You've had enough sun, great. You go inside and it's cool and comfortable and you forget how hot it is outside. Nowadays in England, summer times can be rough. Our flat was built to retain heat. So there's been many days this summer, last summer, the last 10 summers where I've been sat at my desk just actively dripping onto my laptop. It's just hot and you can't sleep, and it's almost kind of hard to think when it gets that hot. And whenever I bring up aircon, British people are always like, England has AC. It's called open a window. And can I just say, I don't think you honestly understand how comfortable summer could be, how comfortable sleeping in summer could be if you've never had aircon throughout your house. Summer can be like a really wonderful experience instead of having to like suffer through it and sleep like crap. Number 9, something that sucks about England is no high sky. Every time we come back to Ontario, my partner always brings this up, how open the sky looks, or like how high the sky looks. And from my very limited knowledge, my very ignorant knowledge, it's something to do with the cloud ceiling. So clouds in England are much lower. It feels like a bit more suffocating, a bit more like claustrophobic. Whereas here, again, I will show you the sky. The sky looks huge. It looks high. Even when there are clouds, they are really high up there. I don't necessarily think of an English sky as suffocating or claustrophobic, like it's just the sky. But when I come here and we're both like, oh my God, look at all this sky. Somebody's just started like chainsawing a tree. Can you hear that? Anyway, number 10, we have customer service. There have been multiple businesses that I've gone to in England where the people working there actively did not want me there. Like miserable customer service. You feel like a burden just to be there, like trying to buy their goods and services. And I think it's safe to say the opposite is true in Canada. Now, a lot of British people, I already know what you guys are gonna say. I already know what you guys are gonna say. A lot of British people say, well, I don't like customer service in North America because it's all very fake, it's very phony, it's very forced. And I get it, but I also disagree. There's something that is nice when a cashier is nice to you, and then you reciprocate back, you're nice to them. And then you both have this nice interaction that's very positive and chill and nice. It's just a nice situation. So like the other day, some of my friends and I were buying stuff and we were talking to the cashier and we had a full-blown conversation. Canadians are very friendly. They're very outgoing. They're very chatty. We have this full-blown conversation with the cashier. She is absolutely wonderful. Had a great time. And then as we were leaving, she was like, you know what? Thank you so much. That was so nice. I really needed that chat today. It's been a weird day. How wonderful. The customer service people are nice to you. You're nice to the customer service people. Everybody just has like a nice interaction. And so I get the idea like it's not always genuine because I've worked customer service. I get it. Sometimes you're having a bad day and you still are trying to be nice, but it's just kind of like you catch more flies with honey. Does that make sense? Even if you kind of fake the niceness, people are nice back to you and it becomes real. Number 11, something that just simply sucks about being an expat in England is no family. I think a lot of sort of expat conversations kind of center around some of the things we talked about: housing, weather, driving, you know, the sort of day-to-day stuff. But at the end of the day, the worst thing by far is being away from your family. And there is literally nothing you can do about it. Over the last 9 years, I have carved out a path for myself as a foreigner in England. I have dealt with the heat waves and I've dealt with the driving, and you know, you find ways to deal with some of the inconveniences and some of the things you don't like. But there's nothing you can do about being away from your family. And that's not England's fault, obviously, but it is definitely something that I think more expats need to be conscious of. Because again, you're young and you're excited and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna live in England and I'm gonna have tea, I'm gonna see a double-decker bus, it's gonna be crazy. It's like, yes, that is all very fun and it's fun to be excited and stuff, but at the end of the day, you are gonna be away from your family. You're choosing a life, a road that is away from your family, and it sucks. And quite simply, it is not for the faint of heart. Just because I won't say that England is perfect, I don't think it's healthy to pretend any one place is perfect. That feels very weird to me, but that doesn't mean I don't love it. There's always positives and there's always goodness in things if you're willing to look for it. But one thing I always say to other expats, I think it's healthy to have things that you don't like, right? I'm not gonna pretend that England is perfect. I've never done that and I never will. And I know that bothers some people, and you know, you do you and I'll do me. But what I say to expats is, do the cons of England outweigh the pros? Because sometimes they do. For me, all of the stuff that sucks in this video, all of the heat waves and the parking and the directness, you know, or the indirectness, all of the cons are so greatly outweighed by the pros of being an expat in England. And that's why I love it. And that's why I'm still fighting to live there 10 years on. But I think it's really important and it's really healthy to check for you as an expat, because for some people, the cons are just too much and they don't like it and England is not for them, and that's totally fine. Even if it was your dream to live in England, you know, it's not for everybody. And you don't know until you try. If you'd like to watch something that is very British, how about this one? I taste tested every high street sausage roll on the quest to find the best one. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!